Hello, welcome to the Moon Scarab channel. My name is Ramon, and this is Mona. On this video, we will talk about animals in tarot. Animals play an essential role in maintaining a healthy environment in our planet. They help contribute as pollinators, controlling pests, and even mitigating climate change. They are all around us and are part of our world. And in the case of tarot, they're not an exception. There's a whole range of animals within the 78 cards of the tarot deck, and some have more than one meaning depending on the context of the image. So on this video, we're going to explore in alphabetical order which are these animals in tarot and the variety of themes they represent. Let's get started. Right, Mona?
1. Birds. The first category is a general one, birds. Why? In tarot, we have specific birds, of which we will talk about, but we also have birds that are not identifiable. These are important for the meaning of certain cards, so to avoid excluding them, I group them in this general category. Birds as a general category are visible only on the cards of the Queen of Swords, the King of Swords, the Knight of Swords, and the Page of Swords. There is no particular breed of birds visible on these cards, so we will talk about their general symbolic meaning. 1. They represent the element of air. When you look at these cards and see the images of these birds, you can almost feel the breeze from the image. Because of their ability to fly high in the sky, close to the heavens, birds have long been seen as a link between the spirit world or the divine and the earthly realm. Many cultures have also seen them as messengers from the gods. 2. They symbolize freedom. A flying bird is a universal symbol for freedom because it represents the ability to take to the skies whenever necessary. Their ability to fly, unconstrained by gravity, means they represent both freedom and independence. We all know in the same way, a bird in a cage is a symbol of freedom taken away. The very phrase bird in a cage represents the lack of true freedom. We can also consider that their vantage point as they fly also symbolizes being able to look at things from a different perspective. Birds can fly naturally, whereas humans can't. As such a symbol of the element of air in the Swords card, this symbol invites us to be free of mind, unconstrained, and let our mental capacities expand. The skies are the limit. 2. The bull or ox. On which cards do we see this animal? We see it on the King of Pentacles and the World card. The Wheel of Fortune has a bull or an ox, but this is a tetramorph, a composite of more than one animal, but we will talk about these further into the video. King of Pentacles. We see the symbol of the bull on the throne of the King of Pentacles. Here it's a symbol for Earth element and Mother Earth as well. Mother Earth in her fertility. Bulls generally represent strength, fertility, leadership, power, protective qualities, sacrifice, and patience, attributes a king should have. The imagery of a bull is a universal symbol of strength and power in different cultures. The Celts esteemed the bull because of their virility and physical resistance. In ancient Egypt, multiple sacred bulls were venerated, housed in temples for their entire lives, then embalmed and buried. Nandi appears in Hindu mythology as the main vehicle and main follower of Shiva. In Greek mythology, the bull was strongly linked to the Cretan bull. According to legend, Minotaur was born to a queen and a bull, and so on in many cultures. We often associate bulls with hostility and aggressive bursts of energy, but that's not all there is to the spiritual symbol of the bull. Ancient societies often revered bulls too for their symbolism as a sign of material or spiritual wealth. The symbolism between the bull and the King of Pentacles have both a lot of similar traits: strength, leadership, and connection to the earth element. The World is card 21 and the final of the major arcana. A naked woman hovers or dances above, holding a staff in each hand, surrounded by a wreath being watched by 4 living creatures. Among them is a bull or an ox. This creature represents the zodiac sign of Taurus, an earth sign. This is one of the 4 fixed signs and represents one of the classical 4 elements. Altogether, they symbolize the harmony between all the energies, which bring balance to any journey from one phase to another. 3. The butterfly. On which cards do we see this animal? We see the butterfly on the Knight of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the King of Swords. The butterfly is a symbol of metamorphosis. This is visible throughout its intricate stages of change from an egg to a caterpillar to a chrysalis and finally to a butterfly. It's a long journey to reach such beauty and is similar to the evolution of the human soul. The human soul goes through similar stages of growth and development as a butterfly. The butterfly looks very different from the caterpillar, and the landscape of our human soul goes through the same stages of growth and evolution. The symbolism of butterflies in tarot is very similar to that of nature. The suit of swords as an element of air symbolizes thoughts and reason. Since the butterfly is an air creature, their association to the suit of swords makes perfect sense. Butterflies in this suit can suggest transforming reasoning and thoughts, a big change that comes from a period of deep introspection, reflection, growth, and evolution. 4. The cat. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Queen of Wands. The cat on the Queen of Wands has always been a bit of a mystery. This symbol, a black cat, is one of many that are unique to Pamela Colman Smith's design and has been reproduced in the majority of all clone tarot decks. But one of the most interesting things about this black cat we know is that it was probably Snuffles, the pet of Edith Craig. Edith Elissa Geraldine Craig was an actress, theater director, producer, set and costume designer who was one of Pamela Colman Smith's friends. Colman Smith used Craig as a model for the Queen of Wands card in the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot card deck, which she illustrated. Pamela was painting the Queen of Wands and used Edith Craig, a chair, a sunflower from the garden, a pole, and Snuffles as a model of the nature of the character she was painting. The original idea was to depict a leopard, but it was Snuffles who, through Pamela's groundbreaking interpretation, immortalized this cat throughout the ages. The cat is a spiritual animal that teaches us to trust our instincts and to be free. This symbol invites us to develop our curiosity and adaptability, as well as unlock a sense of mystery and magic in our lives. The Queen of Wands herself represents a strong, independent, and spiritual woman who channels her intuition and passions to achieve her goals. The cat, therefore, is deeply connected with spiritual growth and empowerment, tapping into feminine wisdom and inner strength. It's a symbol that invites us to embrace patience, intuition, and self-protection. 5. The Crayfish. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Moon card. The Crayfish, as a crustacean, only pops up on the Moon tarot card. Like all crustaceans, they're associated with emotions, rivers, female energy, and the moon. Therefore, it's a standard feature on the moon-related symbology. This creature is a symbol of protection, exploration, transformation, and rejuvenation, as well as emotional growth. It symbolizes the renewal of our innermost thoughts that have been hidden very deep and for a long period of time. Water is the dominant element on this card. This is due to the fact that it inhabits the deepest depths of water. The symbology of this animal invites you to access the depths of your emotions, where the pressure is most intense and difficult to withstand. This will give you the capacity to heal and purify. 6. The dog. On which cards do we see this animal? We see the dog on the Fool, the Moon, and the Ten of Pentacles. On the Fool card, the dog can be seen here as either a warning or encouraging the Fool to move forward. It's the manifestation of our instinctive nature and mechanism of defense, the voice of reason that alerts us of a potential danger, or the gut feeling that tells us to go forward and do what our heart asks us for, in spite of the apparent risk. Although dogs are usually considered domesticated animals, they're also able to defend their territory by any means necessary. The dog, as a warning, invites us to be mindful and bring your consciousness to the present moment before you act. Perhaps reminding you that you need to focus on what you're doing now. Because, like with the Fool, a lack of focus and concentration can sometimes lead to a fall. As encouragement, it makes you or your situation feel valuable. From time to time, we all need to be reminded of how valuable we are and how much we have to offer. And through following your heart and instincts, we can achieve any goal. The Moon. It's the only major arcana card where the energy is all animal. As we know, the Moon Tarot card may represent energies of confusion, worry, and sometimes fear. However, the Moon card does not represent evil forces. The negative emotions we experience are caused by our misapprehension of the current or past events. The dog and the wolf are two different sides of nature. In this case, the dog represents our domesticated and docile side, and our approach facing these conditions in light of the mystery and confusion that surrounds us. Its spiritual meaning is a positive one associated with pure feelings, magical abilities, and courage, barking at and protecting yourself in the face of chaos. Ten of Pentacles. Dogs are often referred as man's best friend. They are amongst the most beloved animals in the world and have had important relationships with humanity since the dawn of civilization. The symbolism of the dog is associated with unconditional love and loyalty. Due to their closeness with humans and their uniquely social natures, dogs are rich with spiritual meaning and appear in a number of myths and traditions. The upright Ten of Pentacles represents strong foundations and traditions, conventional ways of thinking, and attitudes that have allowed growth to continue for generations, and here the dog is a symbol of devotion, trust, playfulness, loyalty, and family bonding. Dogs also represents connection. Here, an old man and a child, even though they are not of the same age or life experiences, share the same joy. It's a gentle reminder that all of us, on some level, have the same wants and needs. 7. The Dove. On which card do we see this animal? On the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is often interpreted as being a very spiritual card, seen as it is the first in the suit of cups. In ancient times, birds were seen as spiritual messengers and held in high regard. Christianity incorporated many pagan elements, legends, and deities into its religion, including the dove, which is known for its peace-loving nature. The dove has become a symbol of peace, optimism, and hope, and in the Ace of Cups, the dove symbolizes these things and the connection to the divine realm in our lives. 8. The Eagle. On which cards do we see the eagle? Partially in the Wheel of Fortune as a Tetramorph, and in the World card. And there are some similarities with these cards and the eagle symbolism. Both the Wheel of Fortune and the World are cards heavily associated with heaven, fate, and destiny. On both cases, these creatures are associated with 4 zodiac signs, and with Scorpio, a water sign, it's represented by an eagle. Their wings signify stability, movement, and change. But have you ever wondered why is Scorpio represented by the image of an eagle? While the basic traits of a Scorpio always remains the same, most of them seem to evolve through different symbols. The symbols of Scorpio are 1. The spider, 2. The scorpion, 3. The lizard, 4. The serpent, 5. The wolf, 6. The eagle, 7. The phoenix. The eagle represents a more mature Scorpio. The eagle soars above all others, watching and learning. As an eagle, this aspect of Scorpio represents a more spiritual being, trusting the divine intervention to handle its affairs of revenge. 9. The Falcon. On which card do we see this animal? On the Nine of Pentacles. The Falcon on the Nine of Pentacles card is an interesting choice as a detail. Like all birds, falcons can represent freedom. However, to see a restrained or caged bird symbolizes a lack of freedom and inability to fly. The figure on the Knight of Pentacles card is content with what she has achieved financially, but is someone tethered and held back in a way to her responsibilities to maintain that which was acquired, to the lifestyle that she has created and now must maintain. To me, the bird in this case is a parallel symbol of restrictive freedom. It's partial autonomy, only apparent freedom similar to the woman in this image. 10. Fish. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the King of Cups. In tarot, water is a symbol of emotions because of its fluid property. Therefore, any animal which swims can be interpreted to represent emotions and feelings because of their association with water. In tarot, we see a progression of the core cards to signal development in maturity. The Page of Cups comes first because in terms of experience is the most unstable and insecure. The King of Cups, on the other hand, while emotional, finds a way to master his feelings. You will notice how the fish on the Page of Cups is at the forefront. It pops up unexpectedly and he seems perplexed on what to do. To me, this represents the fact that the page is very upfront, almost uncontrolled by his emotions. By contrast, the King of Cups fish is swimming about on the background. The king is able to hide his emotions, to master them, and yet they're still there, in his world, but under control. 11. The Horse. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Sun, the Six of Wands, on the Death card, and the Knight of all suits. Of all animals on tarot cards, horses make the most frequent appearance. In divination, they have very rich and detailed symbolic associations, and tarot is no exception. Horses are the vehicle of different characters, representing emotion and momentum of different stages, and they're friends in a way, similar to how dogs are in our culture. The horse is a majestic animal that embodies the spiritual power of independence, freedom, nobleness, endurance, confidence, and triumph. Its symbol is associated with strength, courage, and freedom. In history, horses are known to have helped humans travel tiresome and difficult paths. For 5,000 years, the horse has been an ever-present ally in war and peace. So to me, the horse represents motion and momentum, but also a powerful ally, whom without things are not easily possible to execute by all the characters in the cards. 12. The Ibis. On which card do we see this animal? On the Star card. The Ibis is a bird that hardly ever sings. The ancient Egyptians knew the ibis since the dynastic period and placed it in the most prominent place for a single bird. Not only it was depicted on the walls of ancient Egyptian temples, but it was also linked to the god Thoth. Archaeologists still discover ibis mummies in pharaohs' tombs because it was highly venerated by Egyptians. According to ancient inscriptions, Egyptians put a special law in protection of the ibis. Whoever mistreated the bird faced death penalty. Veneration of the ibis began in the early dynastical period until the Roman era. It was a symbol of god Jehudi, known as Thoth, god of the moon, wisdom, and medicine. It was the master of the sacred word and to whom the invention of writing is attributed. The sacred ibis bird is the form Thoth takes when weighing the soul of the dead. Thoth in this form protects the dead from its enemies whilst in the underworld. The ibis is a symbol of truth and the heart. Appearing in scenes within the Book of Dead, the African ibis is also associated with themes of balance, justice, and integrity. 13. The Lion. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Two of Cups, the Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, the Strength card, the Wheel of Fortune card as a Tetramorph, and the World card. The Two of Cups. What seems to be a lion on this card is called a chimera. The term chimera has come to describe any mythical or fictional creature with parts taken from different animals, or something wildly imaginative, implausible, or dazzling. The chimera is just above the caduceus. In Greek mythology, chimeras are usually female. The caduceus is male, so having one above the other may represent both the male and female aspects of this partnership and balance. The Queen of Wands. On the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands, both cards feature lions. Lions in general represent strength and courage. The lions, which sit atop the throne of the Queen of Wands, are an instantly recognizable heraldic symbol, suggesting royalty and nobility. The lions pictured on the throne of the King of Wands are somewhat less formal than the two lions on the Queen of Wands throne. These lions share the throne with salamanders, which represent fire. The symbology here suggests a right to rule, which is not so much based on nobility as it is based on skill, intelligence, and power. The Strength card. The symbol of the lion on the Strength card is one of raw passions and desires. On this card, a woman touches a lion's forehead and mouth. Despite its ferocity, the woman is taming the beast with her calming, loving energy. The lion represents raw passions and desires, and the woman's taming of it demonstrate how animal instincts and raw passion can be portrayed positively when inner strength is applied. The Wheel of Fortune and the World. Both the corners of the Wheel of Fortune and the World cards have 4 creatures. On the Wheel of Fortune, they're winged, therefore they represent tetramorphs. However, on both cards, these creatures highlight their spiritual status. In this case, the lion represents Leo, the fire element of this group. 14. The rabbit or hare. On which card do we see this animal? On the Queen of Pentacles. There are split opinions about if this animal is a rabbit or hare. However, both represent illumination, abundance, new beginnings, and good luck. They are associated with the moon and strongly feminine in their energy. They are also linked with sexuality and fertility. One interpretation of the Queen of Pentacles is that she represents motherhood and the female aspects of the physical world. Many cultures consider rabbits a symbol of renewal and rebirth due to their ability to reproduce quickly. Their agility and speed also suggests that it's a sign of quick change and their ability to quickly and successfully seize opportunities. 15. The ram. On which card do we see this animal? On the Emperor card. The ram represents the assertion of strength and power to break through, overcome, and achieve. It's also associated with sacrifice. There are 4 ram's heads carved into the stone throne of the Emperor, 2 on the armrests and 2 on the back of the throne. A 5th ram can be found stitched into the Emperor's cloak over his left shoulder. The ram is the symbol of the zodiac sign of Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's a cardinal sign ruled by the planet Mars. Astrologically, Aries is associated with rulership, government, and leadership. Therefore, the ram is a symbol of initiative, action, and determination. 16. Salamander. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and the King of Wands. Many diviners mistake the creature on the King of Wands for being a generic lizard. However, it's actually a salamander. Along with the traditional element of fire, salamanders also stand for passion, assertiveness, and vitality. The word salamander originally comes from the ancient Greek word for fire lizard. Throughout history, salamanders have been connected with a primal element of fire and have always been an important part of occult teachings and magic. There are stories in the Chinese culture implying the original design of the yin-yang symbol was 2 giant salamanders intertwined in harmony. Leonardo da Vinci said, "The only food salamanders need is fire, which renews the creature's skin." Paracelsus went further, saying the salamander was a fire elemental. Such praise went a long way towards associating them with the occult. The Talmud speaks of salamanders as a creature of fire. Carrying any found portion of the salamander would therefore make you immune to flames. Salamanders are associated with the suit of wands in tarot symbology, and wands represent the element of fire. In tarot, the element of fire represents growth, inspiration, energy, creativity, self-development, and passion, and therefore salamanders are viewed as the living representation as fire itself and its spiritual traits. 17. The snake. On which cards do we see this animal? On the Lovers, the Magician, the Two of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Seven of Cups. The snake is one of the oldest and most widespread mythological symbols. Snakes have been associated with some of the oldest rituals known to humankind and represent dual expressions of good and evil. Historically, snakes represent fertility or creative life force. As snakes shed their skin, they're symbols of rebirth, transformation, immortality, and healing. They are represented as strong guardians of temples and other sacred spaces. Snakes have a bad rep though, ever since their part in the story of the Garden of Eden. On a negative connotation, they traditionally represent temptation, deception, and the dangers of false promises. But on a positive side, they're a symbol of renewal because they shed their skin and thus represent transformation, purification, and discarding the old to embrace the new. But both sides agree that snakes are often considered one of the wisest animals, being close to the divine. In tarot, the meaning of the snake can vary depending on the context of the image. On the lovers, the snake's symbolism is closely connected to the traditional serpent of Eden. The snake on the apple tree on the lover's card represents the temptation of sensual pleasures that may take one's focus away from the divine. The depiction of this card draws a reference to the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. So in this case, the snake's appearance on the lover's card represents temptation and deception. Seven of Cups. In this case, the snake symbolizes the same thing as it does on the lover's card. The snake is in the cup of earthly pleasures, one of the choices which the figure can make, while the others being money, beauty, spirituality, and so on. On the Two of Cups, the two serpents circling the staff of Hermes are a symbol of commingling together for a unified understanding, an equilibrium of polarities. Their spiraling upwards is a message of cooperation and joining two points of view together for the sake of a common vision. The Wheel of Fortune. To the left of the wheel, a snake slithers downward. The snake represents Typhon, god of evil, and represents the negative life force we experience plunging into the material world. The Magician. The magician wears a serpent belt, which according to Waite represents the eternity of attainment in the spirit. The serpent, when forming a ring with its tail in its mouth, is a clear and widespread symbol of the all in all, the totality of existence, infinity, and the cyclic nature of the cosmos, the serpent appearing to devour its own tail. The most well-known version of this is the Egypto-Greek Ouroboros. It is believed to have been inspired by the Milky Way, as some ancient texts refer to a serpent of light residing in the heavens. The ancient Egyptians associated it with Wadjet, one of their oldest deities. In Norse mythology, the world serpent, or Midgard serpent, known as Jormungandr, encircled the world in the ocean's abyss, biting its own tail. 18. The Tortoise. In which card do we see this animal? I included this animal here because I read on different forums people speculating that what the King of Pentacles has under his foot is a tortoise, but it's not a tortoise. It's simply a rock. Other theories go as wild as being a boar, a bull without its horns, a porcupine, etc., but it's simply a rock. Honestly, I can't foresee tarot giving place to something as cruel as a king with an armored foot stepping over an animal in that way. Luckily, that's not the case. I included a high-res rendering of the image for your edification. 19. The Wolf. On which card do we see this animal? On the Moon card. As the final animal on this list, we have the wolf. It's portrayed on the Moon card from the Major Arcana. This wolf appears with a dog as a counterpart. The wolf and the dog on the Moon card symbolize both human control as the domesticated dog, which is tamed, and the natural, primal, and wild instincts as the wolf. Both feelings coexist in everyone. In this case, the wolf acknowledges that side in all of us. It represents intuition, freedom, instinct, intelligence, the value of social connections, and pathfinding. The moon tells you that something about your situation or a person in your life is not what it appears to be. Therefore, the wolf invites you to trust what your instincts are telling you in order to see past this illusion. Now, the following section is about other mythical creatures. They're not animals, nor they're human. Therefore, I wanted to include them in this video. The first of the mythical creatures is angels. There are cards in the tarot that have angels as main characters, while others feature them as decorative elements. As main characters, we have them in the Lovers, Temperance, and Judgment cards. As decorative elements, we see them on the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. The figure on the Wheel of Fortune is a winged man, or a Tetramorph, if you want to consider it that way. The devil can be considered a fallen angel, but the devil has its own place as a category. In this section, we will focus on angels as significant characters in tarot. In the Lovers card, a naked man and woman stand beneath an angel. This angel plays a very prominent part in the image of the Lovers card. Along with the man and the woman, this angel creates a very interesting triangle shape. This angel who blesses the man and woman and their union with the divine represent physical, spiritual, and emotional healing and divine connection. On the Judgment card, here too, the angel plays a very important role within the image of the card. The angel is blowing a trumpet, awakening the people in their coffins, making them aware of the change that is about to happen. Temperance. We also see an angel in the Temperance card. This angel stands with one foot in water and the other foot on land and holds 2 cups in its hands. It pours a liquid from one cup to the other. The original depictions of the Temperance card did not have an angel. For example, the Visconti's Forza hand painted tarot, dating back to about 1440. In this early rendition, Temperance does not have wings. These were added later. The angel on the Temperance tarot card encourages balance, moderation, harmony in life, in a process of alchemy and striving for equilibrium of energies within us and the world around us. 2. The Devil. The devil in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is partially based on Eliphas Levi's well-known image of Baphomet from his 1855 Dogme Rituel de la Haute Magie. The devil has bat wings, ram horns, a torch in his left hand that is lowered, and a reversed pentagram on his forehead. Levi's Baphomet has goat horns, breast, a torch on his head, bat wings, a raised right hand, and a lowered left hand. The devil is often portrayed as a satyr-like monster in contemporary tarot cards. In pre-Eliphas Levi tarot cards, like the Tarot of Marseille, the devil is represented as having breasts, a face on the belly, eyes on the knees, lion feet, and male genitalia. In addition, bat-like wings, antlers, a raised right hand, a dropped left hand, a staff, and wings like bats. The devil is associated with the planet Saturn, and it's correlated to the zodiac earth sign of Capricorn. 3. The Dragon. A dragon appears on the 7 of Cups, creeping out of one of the chalices. The dragon is one of the most difficult symbols to interpret in the 7 of Cups. Dragons are very much like mermaids, in that they appear in pretty much every culture all over the world. The symbol of the dragon has different meanings depending on the context. In Christianity, the dragon was a symbol of evil and the devil, death and calamity. In mythological stories, for example, dragons shoot flames of fire and they're associated with passion and power. The dragon is also associated with the study and practice of ancient mystical arts. In Europe, dragons are associated with treasure. There's a belief that dragons locate and hoard riches, so if you find and defeat a dragon, you get to keep its wealth. Because of these myths, dragon can also be interpreted to represent hoarding and the discovery of lost objects. Sometimes dragons can symbolize the triumph of good over evil, and stories of dragons are often told to highlight the power of bravery and doing the right thing. The The dragon on the Seven of Cups reflects the fact that the figure has many choices to make. It's one of the elements that the seeker has to consider when making difficult decisions. 4. The jackal appears on the Wheel of Fortune, but it's not a jackal per se. It's Anubis, from the Egyptian mythology, who conducts the souls of the dead to the underworld. This figure is highly associated with death. In fact, in divination and fortune telling, jackals are generally associated with death because they have a reputation for hanging around graveyards at night. Anubis appears on the Wheel of Fortune because he is a symbol of death, which in itself is a symbol of fate. There is not one person who can escape death, just as one cannot escape fate, and therefore he is an obvious addition to this card. Hermanubis, a Greco-Egyptian god. He's a syncretism of Hermes from the Greek mythology and Anubis from the Egyptian mythology. Hermanubis is typically depicted as having a human body and a jackal head, with a sacred caduceus. Sometimes a solar disk is depicted on his head. At times, he is also depicted as wearing a soldier's armor, but more common are priestly garbs. 5. The Sphinx. The Sphinx pops up twice in tarot, once or twice in the Chariot card, and again in the Wheel of Fortune. The Sphinx is a symbol of divine right in the Wheel of Fortune and nobility in the Chariot. In ancient mythology, a sphinx is a creature with the body of a lion and the head of a person. It was often a guardian of something and renowned for ferocity and cunning. In Greek mythology, the sphinx always had the head of a woman and often wings of an eagle, but it was always referred to as a foreign monster that came to Greece from Ethiopia or elsewhere in Africa. This suggests that the Greeks were aware of sphinxes that predated their own culture. Sphinxes, which are found in a variety of cultural mythologies, are half-man, half-lion creatures typically associated with power, protection, and sacred life. In Egyptian life, many pharaohs and queens are depicted as sphinxes to highlight their elevated status, divinity, and nobility. 6. Tetramorph. A tetramorph is a composite of 4 symbols. However, when symbolism experts discuss a tetramorph, they speak of it as one. It's 4 beings considered simultaneously: a man, a bull or an ox, a lion, and an eagle. They are the Babylonian symbols of the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. The ox or bull for Taurus and earth, the lion for Leo and fire, the eagle for Scorpio and water, and the man for Aquarius and air. The tetramorphs appear in tarot on the card of the Wheel of Fortune. On the card of the world, we only see faces. Some people have suggested the association of these tetramorphs with the 4 evangelists: Luke as an ox, John as an eagle, Mark as a lion, and Matthew as a man. However, this notion is invalidated due to the fact that the prophet Ezekiel, who when exiled in Babylonia around 550 BCE, used the symbolism of Babylonian astrology for his own prophetic purposes. Ezekiel describes his vision in which the likeness of 4 living creatures as a result of Ezekiel and Daniel borrowing heavily on the beasts of Babylonian astrological symbolism in describing their visions. The identical concepts were imported into Hebrew symbolism in the book of Daniel and later in Christian symbolism in the book of Revelations. So, as we see, domestic and wild animals are an essential component of the symbolism and messages in tarot, with a whole wide range of meanings in it. But not only they mean so many things in the cards, but also in our lives, ecosystems, and our environment. If you have a pet, show them more love every day as a way to thank them for all the unconditional love they always give us. And if you don't, I invite you to get in contact with a local rescue group to help them find ways in which you can make a positive impact in the lives of animals in need. I hope you learned something new in this video, and with it, enrich your tarot journey with more interpretations on its readings to apply to your life. As always, thank you very much for watching, and blessings to all. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share it with someone who might benefit from it.
and click the subscribe button for more future videos about tarot, divination, and other esoteric topics.